Here's something that almost nobody says out loud. Most people who are working hard right now, genuinely working hard, showing up, doing everything they were told to do, are going to retire with less money than they need. Not because they were irresponsible, not because they made catastrophic mistakes, but because the entire playbook they were handed was written by people who benefit when you follow it blindly. That's not cynicism, that's just the math. My name is Steve, and this is Invest with Steve. Let me be upfront with you about who I am, because I think it matters more than people usually admit. I'm not here to sell you a course. I don't manage money for billionaires. I'm not going to tell you I cracked some secret code that Wall Street doesn't want you to find. That's not how any of this actually works. What I am is someone who spent years learning, the hard way, that the difference between people who build real wealth and people who just look like they are almost never comes down to income. It comes down to decisions that nobody warned them were even decisions in the first place. And once I saw that pattern, I couldn't stop seeing it everywhere. Think about what happens to most people the moment they start earning real money. The salary goes up. The apartment gets nicer. The car gets newer, the weekends get more expensive, and 6 months later, they feel exactly as financially thin as they did before the raise. Because nobody ever explained that lifestyle is a current, and if you don't consciously swim against it, it pulls you, silently, permanently. That's not a willpower problem, that's a knowledge problem. Here's what bothers me about most financial content. It treats you like the problem. Cut this, stop that. Don't you dare enjoy your life before you've optimized your Roth IRA, as if the reason people aren't building wealth is that they haven't suffered enough small inconveniences. That entire framing is wrong, and I think it actively does damage, because while you're debating whether to cancel a subscription service, the 3 or 4 genuinely enormous financial decisions in your life are being made by default, on autopilot, with zero strategy behind them. Nobody's making a thumbnail about that. But that's where the actual money is. Here's the kind of thing this channel is going to be about. Why the mortgage you qualified for and the mortgage you can actually afford are two completely different numbers, and why the gap between them is where financial stress is manufactured. Why your employer-sponsored retirement account is one of the most powerful tools available to an ordinary person, and why most people are quietly leaving a significant portion of its value completely untouched every single year. Why the people in your life who seem the most financially confident are often operating the closest to the edge, and why the ones building actual durable wealth are almost invisible about it. We're going to talk about how inflation isn't just a news story. It's a slow tax on everyone who keeps too much cash and does nothing. We're going to talk about the psychology of financial paralysis, why smart people with good intentions freeze completely when it comes to investing, and what that hesitation actually costs them over a decade in numbers that will make your stomach drop. We're going to talk about debt, not in the preachy, moralistic way that makes you feel like a degenerate for having a car payment, but in the cold, strategic, mechanical way that lets you understand exactly which debt is slowly bleeding you and which debt, if used correctly, is actually working in your favor. Here's the uncomfortable truth underneath all of it. Building wealth in the modern economy is harder than it was for the generation before you. The entry points are more expensive. The safety nets are thinner. The financial products being marketed at you are almost exclusively designed to enrich the people selling them. That's the real environment. And pretending otherwise or handing someone a budget spreadsheet and calling it a strategy isn't helping anyone. What does help is understanding the actual rules of how money compounds, moves, and behaves over time. Because when you understand the rules, not the tips, not the hacks, the actual underlying rules, you stop feeling like the system is happening to you. You start making it happen for you instead. That's the shift this channel exists to create. Not wealthy someday, not financially comfortable if everything goes perfectly. Structurally, mechanically, mathematically positioned to build real wealth, starting with the decisions in front of you right now. Because here's what most people don't feel in their bones until it's too late. Time is not waiting for you to feel ready. Every month you spend confused, overwhelmed, or just vaguely meaning to figure this out is a month of compounding that you can't get back. And compounding doesn't care about your intentions. It only responds to your actions. So if you're done nodding along at financial content that leads you with nothing to do differently by tomorrow morning, you're in the right place. Subscribe. Stay close. Let's get to work.